Hello and welcome to another podcast of Everything Imaginable with Hackley Public Library. I am Mallory Metzger, the Community Engagement Coordinator, and of course we have my fabulous co-host.
I'm Christina LeVay-Rowland, the Outreach Programming Librarian, and today we have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'd love to. My name is Hillary Jones, and I am the Historic Sites Manager with the Lakeshore Museum Center.
Yes,
awesome.
Which I love that. I have to just start off by saying I used to work at the historic sites. I was a guide for Hackley and Hume and also the Fire Barn and Divisionary House for about 4 years. And so just the historic sites specifically, but just Lakeshore Museum in general holds a special, place in my heart. I love everything that you guys do. Mm-hmm. It's so important to showcase that history of our community and the time periods, the different time periods. I think it's amazing. So I'm really excited to have you here today.
It's a fabulous organization. We have a wonderful team, and I can tell you in the short little bit that I have worked there, I have learned so much. Mm-hmm. I have, never mind how long I've lived in Muskegon my entire life, but in the research I've done, I was like, gee, I have walked past these statues and these corners my whole entire life, and I didn't know all the rich history that Muskegon has.
Yes.
And so it's just been such a treat to dive into our really rich history.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and it's true. There's so much history in our area. I think that's what makes the Muskegon area so amazing, is that it really is rich with a lot of stories of so many different people that have graced our area and a lot that we've learned from them over the years. So amazing.
I'm a transplant, I would guess is how I would call it. I'm actually from the east side of the state. So I moved over here in 2007. Originally was in Grand Haven, and then I moved here. And I was floored by how much history, rich history Muskegon has. And now I feel like I've been here long enough that I can be like, this is my city. I'm so proud to talk about it. And working at the library, I love being able to talk about Charles Hackley, of course, the library's history. And I love when tourists come in and I'm like, well, did you know you can go to his house? Yes. You can actually see his house, and it was called a mansion. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yes. And then we give them all the information. So it's so fun to be able to tell people about that.
Well, besides the Hackley and Hume houses, the library is my favorite place to go in the city of Muskegon.
We love to hear that.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes it's like a staple of my Saturday.
Yeah.
I love that.
Go to Lakeside and get some lunch and stuff, but then I would come here and I never tire of going to the Hackley Public Library.
Yeah, well, really and truly, I feel like there are some similarities, of course, with Hackley Library and the Hackley House, and just the architecture. A lot of the woodwork is similar in terms of, I know Kelly Brothers did a lot of the woodwork in Hackley Library as well as in Hackley House, hand carved, by the way.
They sure did.
Which is incredible.
Fabulous. And this is also something that's funny. I have no idea if there's a connection to this or if it just is by coincidence, but I know Hackley House has 7 fireplaces, if I can remember correctly, right?
Yes.
And so does Hackley Library, which is kind of like, what? I don't know.
Very
if that was
interesting.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite facts to share with people when they come to tour the library. I'm like, we have 7 fireplaces. See if you can find them all.
Yes.
That's what I do on my Hackley tours.
Yes, it's
you
fun.
can keep track. That's really interesting because there were 2 separate architects. There was Hopkins who did the house, and then I believe it was Patton who was the architect, Patton and Fisher for the library.
That's
you're
amazing. Exactly right. Yep, that's exactly true. So I don't know, maybe it was something Charles had.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Did he have a say in the architecture of both buildings? Do we know?
So I know with the library he did. From what I've heard and from what I've gathered, even the logo or the emblem, the HPL that you'll see on the doorknobs at Hackley Library, Charles did have a say in part of that design. Also, I do think he had a say in choosing, who would do the woodwork, because obviously it's part of the same people, the Kelly Brothers, which was local to our community. And also the stained glass windows. Some of the windows feature some of Charles Hackley's favorite literary figures.
That's right.
Yep, so there's Shakespeare, Goethe, which I'm always told it's pronounced differently, so I'm sorry if that's incorrect.
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah. But then also Longfellow and Prescott. And so hearing that those were some of his favorite literary figures, and they're displayed in the library, he definitely had, some say with that.
Yeah,
So there was
point.
really steep competition when it came to hiring the stained glass artists because the commission was $2,500 at the time.
Oh, I
And
did not know that.
yeah, the original design, it did include Shakespeare and Goethe, if we're pronouncing that right. But then it also had Bryant and Schiller.
Oh.
And so the Board of Education, the library board, decided 2 of them need to be Americans.
Oh.
And so we don't know who. I wish we could have the minutes from that meeting. Maybe it
that
was
would be
Bunker, maybe it was
awesome.
Nims, but one of them said we want a historian.
Okay.
And then we want like a poet or something. So they had Longfellow and then
Prescott.
Prescott.
Yes.
Wow, that's like a really cool piece of trivia.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Me
I learned
either.
that. You learn something new every day.
So I don't
had
know if Charles Hackley kind of chimed in like, hey, I really want Prescott. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah, that is very possible.
I wish we could time travel back and just like peek, be a fly on the wall
Yes.
during that. That'd be so cool.
Well, no, I would love to know, and of course there's no way of really knowing for certain, but I would love to know, what was going through Charles's mind when he, really even truly made the decision to want to bring a public library and reading room. I know it was, of course, to give the chance and opportunity for everyone in the community to enjoy these resources. But, it'd be cool to hear him himself saying how excited he was for this, great opportunity for our area and just kind of like what brought about it initially, you know?
Yeah, so through my readings, education was very near and dear to Charles Hackley's heart. And he saw education as a way of uplifting the community so they could have employment and other opportunities. And so that is one of the reasons why the Hackley Public Library was his first gift to the city. And then also truly recognizing this man was very wealthy.
Yes.
And you could almost say he was like a protege of Andrew Carnegie, however you want. And it was his philosophy that it was a crime to die a rich man. And so he gave so much of his wealth back to Muskegon. Also, it was not only a city that he loved, but this was the place where he built his wealth. And he thought it only right to give it back to its residents.
That's amazing.
Really and truly, I mean, I know I'm a little biased because obviously I've worked with a lot of Hackley related things, but I think he was an incredible human being, very generous. As you were just mentioning, he gave a lot of different gifts to the city of Muskegon and really wanted to see it prosper. And so it is cool to think that we are living today and working and enjoying all of these great things that honestly would not have been possible without him kind of jump starting that.
That's true.
So it is pretty cool.
You could go as so far as to say Muskegon wouldn't exist without Hackley and Hume.
Yes.
Because, we had all these lumber barons, these millionaires who reaped these profits from West Michigan. And then when the timber was gone, they moved out west to chase the industry. And Hackley and Hume, this was their home. It was the city they loved. They decided to stay here and bring more industry. So like the Amazon knitting company is one of them.
It's funny because I've heard from people sometimes that aren't from here, they drive by and they see, oh, Amazon, is that like, Amazon.com? And it's like, no, actually, totally different knitting company, hosiery and stockings and things like that, and which is so cool. But then also he was involved with a bank as well. So he had so many different ventures. And from what I remember, I think it is true that he still did continue some lumbering, in other parts of the country, but he stayed here. Like he remained here. This was his home base, which I think says a lot about, how he felt about Muskegon and this area in general, which is pretty incredible.
So question.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard at one point there had even been talk about renaming Muskegon.
Yes, I had heard that as well.
After him? And he said no, right?
He outright rejected it because he was, although he was a very wealthy man, he was very humble and modest. And I have read through the testimonies of his close friends, his business partners, and they all have the running theme that he was very modest. Non-ostentatious, not presumptuous, pretentious. We actually, besides wanting to change the name to Hackley, they also wanted to put up a statue of him in Hackley Park.
Oh, okay.
And he said something to the fact that I would hate to walk past my liking in the park every day. I would not want to see it. And so he said, once I pass away,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
the residents can decide if they want to put up a statue. So I wonder what he would think
Yeah.
of this sculpture sitting on the corner overlooking this beautiful
Yes.
park.
No, that's true. I would be curious too. I would want to know, does he think, oh gosh, they
They did
eventually
it.
did it, you know?
I think that would be his
Yeah.
reaction.
But you know, overall though, it was of course done just because of the great love that
Right.
people had for him and the things that he provided.
That's a really interesting story because we have, a lot of people today who are like, oh, please don't take my picture. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to hear my voice. I don't want to be on camera. I kind of feel like maybe that's like his version of that. He's like, please don't put up a statue of me. I don't want to
Right.
see it.
Don't want any credit. I just kind of want to be behind the scenes while
Right.
doing all these great things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say about that statue, I know it's not about the library, but I've been
That's
reading
okay.
about him, and they always said he was so friendly and approachable. He took time as much as he could for anybody.
Yeah.
And it's very much like that sculpture down the street, as you can sit right next to him.
That's true.
It's
Yes.
approachable.
Spend some
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
People put like hats on him and like scarves and stuff, which I
They
think
do.
is kind of cute.
I do.
I
I like
love
that,
that.
too. They kind of dress him up for the seasons, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, he's like part of the city still,
Yes.
like, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I know, so talking about his personality, he, as you mentioned, was a humble man, someone who wasn't ostentatious, someone who cared about others. I mean, do you know some of the interests that he had even outside of reading, outside of the library? Is there anything that you can tell us that you might know about some of the things he was intrigued by or hobbies even?
Right, because you can't have all work and no play, right?
Exactly. Right,
He-
right.
He surely had other interests
Yes.
outside of business and industry, right? I was reading the newspaper and it said Muskegon was his hobby.
Okay. Yes.
Ah,
yes.
Interesting.
And so really he didn't go fishing.
Okay.
He traveled a little bit, but Muskegon was his hometown, and so he liked to stay here.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't down at his sawmill or at the National Hackley Bank, he was coming up with plans of how to develop the city and how to give it back. And so that really was his hobby.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, honestly, I can believe it because of everything that he did give to the area. You know, not only Hackley Library, but the Hackley Gallery of Art. You know, he had
Gave the
provided
endowment.
funds for, you know, what was it? It was pictures of the best kind or artwork of the best kind to be purchased, which would later become the Muskegon Museum of Art, Hackley Manual Training School,
Right.
Hackley Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he provided funding and time, right, to a lot of these things. And some things, of course, came about after he had passed. But it was with his legacy and what he wanted for the community for it to be created. So I can totally believe that he was that passionate about this city and this area to want to make it really his life's work, if you want to call it like that.
I think that's an
That's
accurate
pretty cool.
description.
Yeah.
And even though he's not the artist of the sculptures
Right.
and the buildings, this really is his masterpiece.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Really
it's
is.
true.
And you see remnants of Charles Hackley all over the city,
Mm-hmm.
even though his name might not be on the building.
Right.
You can look right across the street and see Hackley Park.
Yes.
And know his contributions and see
Mm-hmm.
the administration building, which is being turned into a boutique and a hotel. And of course the library. I don't know if you were born in Hackley Hospital. I was born in Hackley
No.
Hospital.
Oh,
a lot of
that's
people.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's a really cool connection, especially when we're giving tours to
Yes. Yeah.
to the school kids.
Yes,
Like, hey,
it
if
kind
you
of
were
becomes
born
personalized.
before this year, you might have been born in Hackley Library.
I love that. You know, so I'm actually I'm not from here either. I'm
Okay.
from northern Michigan, but I feel like I've, you know, lived in the area long enough and worked with a lot of local things where I feel very connected to this city and to everything, you know, that is kind of surrounding its history. And it's true. I remember actually giving school group tours at Hackley and Hume, and it's really fun to make those connections with
Yes.
kids and to kind of find ways to make it relevant to them, because it makes the learning of the history so much more profound.
Yeah.
And so to say, oh yeah, well maybe you weren't born here, but hey, did you know maybe your family member was?
Yes.
Maybe your mom or dad or your aunt or uncle. I mean, that is really cool. And to make that connection, it's meaningful, and it makes it to where kids and adults can remember that. It resonates.
Yeah.
I was giving a tour to my 7-year-old nephews last week.
Nice.
And I said, hey, by the way, you were born in Hackley Hospital.
Yes, yeah.
And he was the one who gave us the money for it. And they went, oh, really? And they made that connection. And it's all the more special to them now when they visit the Hackley House.
So true. I can believe that 100%. Well, just kind of overall speaking, what is your favorite part about giving tours of the Hackley and Hume houses? Do you have a favorite house? Do you have a favorite attribute of each house? Do you have something that's like super meaningful for you from one of the houses?
Yeah, you know, I love both of the houses in different ways.
Yes.
I love the Hackley house because it's
Art.
so beautiful. It's a masterpiece in and of itself, with the hand carvings from the Kelly brothers, the beautiful stained glass windows. You see something new every time you go in there. I just have such a deep appreciation for the artistry and the architecture of the house. But I like the Hume house too, because I feel in a way connected with the people who lived there. I can almost hear the patter of children's feet up in the attic and imagine maybe Florence playing the piano in the second parlor. And it's just really personal to me. I feel like it can connect well. Both houses are absolutely beautiful. I think if I had to pick a house though, it might be the Hume house.
I would too.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I would honestly, pretty much what you said verbatim is how I feel. Like, I look at the Hackley house and I'm in awe. Like, it's stunning. It's artistic. You see something new every time. It's so true. It's gorgeous. The Hume house, I feel like it's more,
Family oriented. Yeah.
It's like kind of like casual. It's still very ornate, don't get me wrong. It's stunning, but it's like you can kind of let your hair down, and it's just, it seems like, well, that house, it did, they had 7 kids. So it was definitely a family house, lots of kids running around, lots of noise.
Especially when it became a daycare center
when it was
in the
a
50s.
Daycare center, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
That's
daycare.
amazing. So what I'm hearing is Hackley house, beautiful, work of art.
Yes.
Hume home, a home.
Yeah.
Or Hume house, a home,
Yes.
I guess.
Because there is a Hume home too.
That's right.
Yes. And
Which is still connected, right?
Yes, so that was actually a contribution from Thomas Hume. So as a way to help provide a space for people that didn't necessarily have, I think probably a lot of money, but also didn't have family members who could take care of them. They had a home that they could go to and be taken care of, which is amazing. So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people in Muskegon that were extremely generous with their money and their time, and just wanting to make it a great place for everyone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it really sounds like they took care of each other.
Yeah.
And that's something that I would hope people are still striving to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, just speaking generally about the Muskegon community, I love seeing the interactions between people. I feel like it actually is a very connected community. A lot of partnerships, organizations working together, a lot of just community members coming together for events and, fun things in the park and at all the different locations downtown. It's really cool. Like, it is a community of togetherness.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So we are doing our podcast from the Torrent House across the street from the library. Is there a connection between that John Torrent and Charles Hackley? Like, what's the history there?
Okay, so rumor has it there's like some tea. Like,
sure.
We don't. I cannot tell you exactly if they were rivals. They were businessmen. They were business rivals. I don't know if they got along or if they didn't get along. I will tell you, researching for this podcast, apparently John Torrent was the one who acquired the property for the library.
Ooh.
And then donated it to the Board of Education. And I saw that highlighted in the file. I said, say what?
I had no idea.
I was like,
oh my
did I
gosh.
read that correctly?
Wow.
Pardon me. And so there
is some
does
new info.
seem to be a little bit of cooperation
Okay.
between the two
Okay.
men,
Okay.
at least with Torrent and the Board of Education.
Okay. Interesting.
That's really cool. I had no
I
idea.
will tell you something else if
Yes.
you're interested
More
in
tea.
knowing
Yes.
the dynamic between Charles Hackley and Torrent.
Yes.
So Charles Hackley, on it was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, told the city of Muskegon, I would like to gift you a public park.
Oh, okay.
What a wonderful
Yeah.
Christmas gift.
Yeah.
We enjoy this present
Yeah.
to this day.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
And so there were a lot of houses that were in the park.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
The recently sold house was the C.D. Nelson house.
Yes.
That was on the
Yes.
park.
Mhm.
Also, John Torrant's daughter had a house on the corner, kitty corner from where we are right now.
No kidding.
And so Charles Hackley is buying up these properties. I think it was about $7,000 to $8,000. But John Torrant held out. He was being a little uncooperative, I would presume, and he sold it for double.
Yeah.
For $16,000 at
Businessman.
the very
Right.
end. And so, again, I don't know what the source
Sure.
of that was or how true it is from my personal research. I still have a lot to learn. But
That
Right.
is interesting.
that is really interesting and a rabbit hole I will happily dive down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've heard rumblings of that,
Yeah.
but I have not heard really any more detail than that. So that would be curious to know if there's more, I guess, truth or more specifics, or if there were kind of loopholes here. Well, this is why this happened, or maybe there's more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that'd be very curious to know.
Need to dive into.
Yeah. That's why I was curious about it, because I had heard that there was potentially beef between the two. So then I always thought it was interesting that the Torrent House became part of the Hackley Public Library.
Interesting.
Yep, we do all of our local history and genealogy here. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, how would they feel about this?
Yeah, if you could bring
So
John
true.
Torrent back today, what would he say?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'd be curious to know what John Torrent would say and what Charles Hackley would say.
Yes.
How would
Yes.
they each feel? I mean, I wonder if John would be like, what? And then Charles would be like, haha. No, I'm just kidding.
I got the last word.
Yeah. But it'd be so curious to just, as we were saying, jump back in time and see the interactions right when they're happening.
Yes.
Interactions between each other, but also interactions with Charles and his family and Thomas and his family, and the interactions with each other, and just seeing how they would view Muskegon at the time. And I'd love to know, what they would think of Muskegon now.
Yes.
I'd love to be able to have them come here in this present day, walk around, drive around, and just witness it and get
Yes.
their thoughts on what's going on.
Let's speculate.
Yes.
What do we think Charles would enjoy about modern day Muskegon?
I've posed this question to my team
Yes.
last week. I
Oh,
said,
yes.
if you could
Yeah.
have an afternoon with Charles Hackley, what would you do? Would you ask him all the questions, or would you allow him to ask you all the questions?
Yeah.
And one of my team members said, I give him a Dorito.
That's hilarious.
This is processed food.
Yeah,
I'd
right.
show him my cell phone and show him all the
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
They kept logbooks. We could show him an Excel spreadsheet. So
man,
he would
that
get
would be
culture
nice.
shock.
Yeah.
But also, I would definitely walk the same paths that he walked throughout the city, so he could see what is still preserved and what has changed.
Right. Kind of compare,
Yeah.
contrast.
And so I do think he would be humbled, maybe, that these gifts are still around today,
Yeah.
and so incredibly grateful that we're so incredibly grateful.
Yes. Yeah.
I wonder what he would think of the houses. No, Julia would not have picked this,
Oh.
this carpet, or
Right.
why did you put it here? We do have great photographs to
Yes,
reference from,
which
but
is so nice.
I'd be curious to see what he thought of the house and
Yeah.
how we're doing with our restoration, which I
Right.
think we're doing pretty good.
Oh my gosh, fabulous! You guys are doing
Yeah,
fabulous.
we just finished our porch.
the porch.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
what a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And it's turned out beautifully.
But what
So
would you guys ask Charles Hackley, or what do you think he would say in response to the city
Man.
it is now?
So I think for me, one of the things that I would like to see him experience is how many festivals we hold here. Like, and so many obviously happen in the park.
Yeah.
I just think that would be so cool, just to be like, look at how many people are celebrating so often in this city that you loved, in this park that you helped bring. I'd love to see him go through the library now.
Yeah.
Gosh, that'd be so cool.
That would be really cool. No, I mean, kind of same. I'd love for him to go through the library. I would love for him to see the houses and to see how people enjoy them so much.
Yes.
And I know obviously he's a humble person and he'd probably be like, oh, it's just my house. But to see all the love and the joy that brings to so many people, not just from our own community, but from around the world, like that would be really cool because it has played a huge role in a lot of people's lives. But yeah, just having him go downtown, see things that are very modern and him being like, whoa, what's this? I think he'd be very open to a lot of the cool things that we have because it does seem like, as you said, he was really about lifelong learning and education and wanting to further oneself. And so I think all the opportunities that we have for people to do that in our area, he'd find that awesome.
Yeah.
So.
And we carry on his legacy when
Yes.
we support the library and the arts and everything that he invested so richly in.
So true. Absolutely.
You know what I might ask him about?
What's that?
The beard.
Ah.
I'd be like, interesting.
Yes.
How long have you had this?
Yes.
Did you ever consider shaving it? Just out of curiosity.
Right.
It's very iconic.
It is. I mean, I remember we haven't done this in a while. I think we did not do it since I've been at the library, but there used to be a Charles Hackley beard contest
Amazing.
at the library, and I've seen some pictures, but it happened before my time here, so I was
We
like,
should bring that back.
we should.
I might need to bring that back for Hackley Day.
Yes. Oh, that's
And do you guys
perfect.
know how we got the date for Hackley Day?
Yes. Well, that was.
I might not.
Okay, so it was actually the day they dedicated the library.
Oh.
It's May 25th, 1888.
So that's why we celebrate that day. That's amazing.
Yep. And I remember one of my coworkers, actually from Hackley and Hume, he used to work there. He said that the schools used to get like the day off, right? Or maybe it was a half day. There'd be a celebration, and then they'd all go home afterwards. And it was like in celebration of
That's
Hackley
so
Day.
fun.
Yeah.
Like, what a cool way to celebrate some local history. I don't know if we ever did anything like that back in my school. Like, we didn't have something like that.
Well,
so, like, this is cool.
We didn't have someone who was philanthropic like that in terms of, like, our town's history. So to have something like that here in Muskegon is really special.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is Charles Hackley wasn't known just to West Michigan or to the Midwest. There are articles about him all over the country.
Oh,
New
that's
York,
cool.
Chicago,
Okay.
Salt Lake City, out west, and they're all talking about his philanthropic endeavors.
Really?
And how generous he was. There's mention of, we wish we had a Charles Hackley in our city.
Yeah.
Muskegon is so fortunate to have such a generous citizen.
Yeah.
And so
That's
he really is
amazing.
well known
Yeah.
during his time.
That's really cool.
That is
and
very
to know
cool.
that his reach or his generosity reached that far for people to talk about and say, wow, yeah, that is really fortunate for Muskegon. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's very interesting considering he was so humble and, like, didn't necessarily want to be, like, talked about like that, but when you do as much, like, goodwill as he did, it's like people are going to talk about it.
Yeah. You just, I mean, it's kind of, you can't help it sometimes. And then at that point, you just kind of have to go with the flow and say, well, thank you. And, but yeah, I mean, if someone is grateful for that generosity, they're going to want to shout it out.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. I like the quote that he was unspoiled by his wealth.
Ah,
He
That's
was
awesome.
described by, although
Yeah.
he was really wealthy, he was unspoiled by his wealth.
I wonder if that comes really because he built his wealth from the ground up, I mean, he earned this, and it's not like, sometimes I feel like if someone grows up with extreme wealth, they might not know anything else, so they're kind of used to that. But when you work really hard and you earn that and it kind of builds, it doesn't necessarily change who you are because it's what you do, but it's not necessarily who you are or what you grew up with or knowing. So that could be another reason why he stayed so humble. It was what he did, and he did it because he loved it. but it didn't define who he was. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, either about Charles or the historic sites or anything in general?
Yeah, well, oh my goodness. I could talk on day's end about all the
Yes.
things I have learned. So I hope we have a sequel.
I was going to say, we'll have to have you back.
I'll try to find
Yes.
some tea on John Torrent. Of
Yes.
course,
Yes.
we want to be accurate.
Yes,
We'll have like a
yeah.
little tea set up.
Oh my gosh, I
We'll just,
love
like,
that. And we'll
spill
sip our
the
tea.
tea.
Oh, spill.
Yes. One of us can be Julia Hackley. One of us can be Margaret Hume.
I love it.
Maybe one of us
Perfect.
can be like Helen or Erin
Yes.
Hackley or something
Fun.
like that. It'll be
Oh, I love
Yes.
that. I
We'll
love
do it.
that.
Yes, I would love to come back. I did want to say I was reading testimonies after Charles Hackley died.
Okay, yeah.
And Julie Hackley's minister was Archibald Hayden.
Okay.
And he said Hackley was bent on doing the kindest thing he could, and he had a zeal for the welfare of others. And how wonderful that his generosity and contributions to the city are still impacting us today. So I absolutely love that. I'd like to encourage everyone watching this podcast to come visit the Hackley and Hume historic sites. Included in your ticket price is a visit to the Fire Barn, which is modeled after the Hackley Host Company #2. There's another contribution. He had a big footprint in creating the fire department for Muskegon. And of course we have the Skolnick Depression era house and we're having the Dog Days of Summer this Saturday from 11 to 3. So if you like to do some laundry on the lawn, we have one of those wash tub and wringers. It's really fun.
Love it.
We're making homemade ice cream with the classic churn. And we're learning all about the culture of the day. So we really encourage you to join us for that.
That's super cool.
And then also, I don't know if you've heard, but we have Clue Live coming up next month on September 11th and 12th.
Fun.
Yes.
So if you love the board game Clue,
Yes.
you can do a live version of it in the Hackley house where you got to solve the case.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love all of the external programs that you do, or the additional, not just the tours, but you offer all these great programs like the Clue Live. I know you do the obituary tours.
Yes.
I know in the past you've done the scandal tours. You do the after hours, like tours in the dark, I think, right?
Yeah, we have the after dark tours, and we also have the all access tours.
Yes,
Now, you can be as nosy as you want. You get to look behind the doors that are usually closed and see all over the house. However, they sell out really fast.
Yeah.
Yes. Popular.
But you can book your own personal tour if you have a party of 10.
Yes.
So,
Ooh,
yes.
very nice.
I know you guys are visiting us
Yes.
in October. So,
Yes, we're
I
excited.
encourage you to visit our website. If you're interested in any of those, you can purchase tickets, and we would love to have you.
And I really I encourage as well everyone to visit these historic sites. You know, they are all amazing, all really cool pieces of history and showcasing, you know, our history and different time periods. So much fun for all ages. So yeah, definitely go to their website for more information. You won't be disappointed. It's so cool.
Lakeshore Museum Center.
Yes.
Yep.
But thank you so much, Hillary, for joining us today.
It was a pleasure.
This was so much fun, and we will definitely have you back.
Yeah.
Looking
Yes.
forward to it.
It was fun to talk about Charles Hackley, like the man, the myth, the legend.
Yes.
Ah, that's
And
a great title for
Yes.
this.
Definitely legendary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you next time on this podcast. We hope to see you at Hackley Library and also at the historic sites. But for now, enjoy what you're reading. And if you have any questions about the historic sites or Hackley Library, let us know in the comments and we can relay those questions to Hillary, or of course you can reach out to them as well. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.